Good afternoon, students. Is it audible? Yes. Okay. So in our yesterday class, we discussed about the emergence of middle class and the influence of colonialism on education, and education leads to the emergence of new classes during colonialism. Okay. So our next concept is the Sanskritization and Brahmanization. In the Indian social structure, these Sanskritization and Brahmanization are two important terms which to be discussed, and both the terms Sanskritization and Brahmanization used in a single concept. But there is a slight difference between these two. I will give the certain what are certain differences among these and what are the similarities among these both words. Before going to before going to discuss about Brahmanization, I will complete the things regarding the Sanskritization. Okay. So the concept of Sanskritization was first coined by Professor M. N. Srinivas, the famous Indian sociologist. He explained the concept of Sanskritization in his book Religion and Society Among Hooks of South India. To describe the cultural mobility in the traditional caste structure of Indian society. In his study of the Cooks of Mysore, he came to know that lower castes were trying to raise their status in the caste hierarchy by adopting some cultural ideas of the Brahmins. As a result, they left some their ideals which are considered to be impure by Brahmins. To explain this process of mobility, Professor Srinivas used the term Brahmanization. Later on, he called it as a Sanskritization in a broad sense. Defining Sanskritization, according to Srinivas, Professor Srinivas, Sanskritization is a process by which a lower caste or a tribe or any other group changes its customs, rituals, ideology, and way of life in direction of higher or more often twice born caste. Sanskritization also means the adoption of new ideas and values which have been expounded in Sanskrit literature. Such uh, terms, such theological terms as the karma, dharma, papam, or sin, maya, samsara, and moksha are used frequently. These were essential related to Vedas and discussion confined mostly to Brahmins. Okay, so when you see a certain characteristics, certain features of this Sanskritization also. Okay, so the basic meaning of Sanskritization is imitation of the lower classes by the Brahmins. Okay, so the Brahminical ideology, the culture, rituals, and the way of life were totally copied by this lower section of the people. Okay, so this had a certain features. We'll see what way. Sanskritization is a process of imitation in Indian society. The social status of an individual is fixed on the basis of caste hierarchy. There are many lower castes who suffer from economic, religious, and social disabilities. So, in order to improve the status, the lower caste people imitate the lifestyle of the upper caste. Okay, so the lower class which imitate the way of living of the upper classes, other castes. Sanskritization is a process of cultural change towards twice born caste. Sanskritization is a process in which the lower caste adopt the cultural patterns of the higher caste to raise their status in the caste hierarchical order. In some societies, the lower caste people followed not only the customs of Brahmins, but also the customs of locally dominant castes like Kshatriyas and Vaishyas to raise their status. The concept of Sanskritization has also given rise to desanskritization. Okay, desanskritization also a new term here. Okay, so so there are some instances in modern times. Some of higher castes are imitating the behavior pattern of lower caste. Behavior pattern of lower caste. And for example, Brahmins have started taking meat and liquor. This process is called the desanskritization. With the opposite to the Sanskritization, we use this as the desanskritization. It's nothing but within the Brahminical structure or within the ideology of Brahmins, certain changes has taken place. Okay, so the well-educated Brahmins who are opposing this caste hierarchy or inequality in the status, and also due to the Western ideology, they are following certain rationalistic ideas and certain European traditions. Okay, it's called as a de-Sanskritization. Okay, so like the Brahmins to be a atheist, and the Brahmins follow the taking of the liquor and meat or beef. This nothing but the de-Sanskritization. Okay, it's totally opposite to the Sanskritization. Right? So the process of Sanskritization taken place on the various models. Okay, so these models may be cultural based, maybe on Varna based, maybe on a localized or local based models. Okay, so how this Sanskritization process has taken place based on these things. So, according to the cultural model of Sanskritization, caste has been assigned higher low status according to cultural characteristics of Hindus. The wearing of sacred thread, denying the use of meat and liquor, observing endogamy, prohibition of widow remarriage, observing the restriction in the caste system, worship according to the modes and methods described in the religious textbooks or texts, giving respect to the religious and mythological stories, etc., have been given sanctity in traditional culture. They are considered to be the measuring standards of sacredness and purity. Accepting these behavior and codes of highness and purity as described in religious texts in a form of Sanskritization. Okay, it is it is totally based on the cultural model. When it comes to the Varna model of Sanskritization, in the Varna system, the highest status is given to that of a Brahmin, followed by Kshatriya, Vaishya, and Shudra. Antes or Antaja or the lowest is the fifth Varna. It's nothing but the outcast. Okay, so outside of the Varna. So the fifth Varna or the Hainda Varna, that is the lowest and untouchable one in the Varna system. But these are not comes under Varna. Okay, lower caste is totally outside of the Varna. But some intellectual class are treating it as a Haindava or the fifth Varna or some other terms are used. But it's totally outside of the Varna, outside caste. So the lower caste copying the ideals and the lifestyle of superior caste, where the Kshatriyas enjoy superiority. The lower caste followed their lifestyle and ideals. Simultaneously, where the Vaishyas enjoy superiority, the lower caste followed their lifestyle and ideals. On the Antyas or lower caste copy the Sudras. That is to say, emulating the lifestyle of or ideals of the Varna on the basis of honor and superiority. Superiority enjoyed by that class is called the Varna model of Sanskritization. When you see the Sanskritization on a local model, in every country, some castes are considered to be more respectful than others on account of their economic power. This caste may be called the master caste or the dominant caste. So the lower caste copies the lifestyle of the local dominant caste in order to improve their status. Okay, so many local communities, lower communities, particularly the various classes and communities within the within uh, the Sudra and the outside of the Sudra communities, nothing but the untouchables, which are various names. They are copying all the traditions and lifestyle of the upper class, particularly Brahmins. Okay, because by imitating the upper classes, they're thinking that there is a certain prestige they get. And the others people may respect as they are giving to the Brahmins. Okay, so that is the major cause behind this the local model of Sanskrit, because within the local or a particular territory or a region, the lower classes are directly observing the day-to-day life of these upper classes. because these lower class people are sometimes working in their homes, their fields, and sometimes they are following a bonded labor to the upper classes. Okay, so directly observing these ideology, customs, traditions, and the day-to-day life of these upper classes, these lower class classes are thinking that by following this they may get the respect from the others. And some lower class people also imitating directly the lifestyle of the Brahmins also, because the in the lower class sections some people following wearing the sacred thread and following various day-to-day rituals and traditions, particularly the pujas, which are following as Brahmins, the priest, they are daily following. Okay, so likewise, the imitation of these lower classes by the Brahmins, they will get thinking that they will get a certain respect from the others in the society. Okay, that is the main cause behind this. So, what are the effects of this sensitization? The social aspect of Sanskritization is much more important from the viewpoint of change. The low caste individuals are inclined towards Sanskritization because in that way they can elevate their social status and get higher status in the caste hierarchy. Economic betterment and Sanskritization is another related issue. The lower caste people have given up unclean occupation to raise their economic status because clean trades are a symbol of social life. Okay, so for better economic betterment, the lower class people had a certain occupations, but these occupations certain occupations are treated as a unclean. For example, the mother occupation of a untouchable caste like Chamar or Madiga in a Telugu speaking land, their occupation is making the leather, and you well know that they will clean the dead bodies of animals and using that body, that skin make into a leather, and with that leather they preparing manufacturing various leather goods. Okay, within this process they followed certain a unclean industry. This industry what they follow treated as a unclean by the upper class. Okay, to avoid this type of unclean industry, these chamars which are following are imitating the upper classes to leaving their mother occupations. Okay, for this various reasons, you may say modernization, globalization, westernization, all these are certain other things which influence. But the local cause is the effect of the Sanskritization. Okay, So when you see the another one, Sanskritization can also be observed in religious field. Like Brahmins, many of the lower caste people put on sacred thread. They also go to the temple regularly and perform arti and bhajan. They have left prohibited food and unclean occupation. Even they have specialized in performing ceremonies like Brahmins. The living pattern of lower caste has also Sanskritized. Like higher caste, they also get pakka houses built for them. Now they sit along with the higher caste on the carts without any fear or hesitation. They also keep their houses clean and put on dress like higher caste. Okay, so you are, I think you are in villages. I think so. You may observe the condition of these lower classes still in the present villages, because whenever a upper caste a person very near to a untouchable house, or whenever he enter in a untouchable house, these lower class people can't sit in a chair or on a cart or like that. Okay, they will stand up and respect to them. Okay, so the lower class people thinking that whichever are by following the Sanskritization, the upper class may treat themselves as a equal. Okay, so this is the main effect of this Sanskritization, so that they may treat him or the untouchable as a equal. Okay, so another one is the well-paid jobs and clean trades attract them, and they look at them as a sign of higher social status. Also, many lower caste people put sacred thread and engage themselves in religious performance, such as Arti Bhajana like Brahmins. Okay, so already discussed. And the professor Srinivas argues that the Sanskritization and Brahmanization are two variants with each other, and therefore they cannot be used as a substitute of any synonym for each other. Further, he claims that the agents of Sanskritization were not always Brahmins. Also, the term Brahmanization is more appropriate for showing the changes in lifestyle of Brahmins. Starting from Vedic period, when they would drink soma, the alcohol, eat meat, and offer animals for sacrifice until these practices were given up under the influence of Buddhism and Jainism in the post-Vedic period by almost all Brahmins except Saraswat Brahmin, except the Kashmiri and Bengali. Since Brahmins were powerful, privileged groups with an authority, they declared the laws for the rest of Hindu Varna, and they prohibited the lower Varna to emulate them and read sacred scriptures. However, their restrictions and prohibitions would not prevent the process of Sanskritization of rites and customs of lower class. Okay, Chinanagaya, are you hearing?
Sir.
Are you hearing my voice?
Yes, sir. I'm hearing.
Chinanagaya, are you hearing? Just say yes or no. Are you hearing? No, no response properly. Yeah, okay, right. So, Professor Srinivas gives the example of Lingayat movement of South India, which has been a powerful force for Sanskritization of the rites and customs of many low castes of the Karnataka. The movement was initiated by two Brahmins, namely Basava Ekantata Ramaya, but it was anti-Brahminical in spirit and tone. Many lower caste people participated and became Lingayats. They started not only claiming equality with Brahmins, but also stopped eating food cooked or touched by the Brahmins. Also, Vishwakarma Smith, Brahmin of South India, started wearing the sacred thread. The term Sanskritization has been criticized on various grounds, and alternatives have been proposed, all of which seem to suffer from similar limitations. One fundamental criticism is that these terms might seem to imply that the Brahminical, Hindu, or Sanskrit culture is a totalizing, monolithic entity that is capable of overwriting other weaker traditions, which are inherently disparate and vulnerable. In fact, I think the concept that still has great utility, provided that we remain fully cognizant of the many ways in which the other traditions have through history and still today left their imprint upon Brahminical Hinduism. In fact, in spite of many broad continuities over time, it is this reciprocal give and take between what are considered established Sanskritic elements at any given time and those that have more localized currency in time, space, social register that gave Hinduism in famous appearance of unity in diversity. Okay, so there is another concept is nothing but the Brahmanization. The Brahmanization has also given by or coined by Professor M.N. Srinivas. It is the process where a group of low caste or subcaste lower than the Brahmins. Okay, so individuals perform and follow customs, rituals, beliefs, and Brahminic way of life to achieve a Brahmanic status by climbing the hierarchical ladder in one or two generations. This concept of Brahmanization is very much similar to the concept of Sanskritization. As Srinivas used word the Brahmanization instead of Sanskritization at very beginning of his thesis in his book Religion and Society Among the Troops in the South India in 1952 to denote social mobility in Indian context. The term Brahmanization was later on replaced by Sanskritization as the term Brahmanization was very narrow in its entailing than Sanskritization. This process has been called Sanskritization in his book in preference to Brahmanization as certain Vedic rites are confined to Brahmins and two other twice one castes. The rejection of term Brahmanization was due to, okay, M.N. Srinivas is not supported to use Brahmanization in the place of Sanskritization. Okay, so he rejected the Brahmanization, the term Brahmanization. He only used the Sanskritization. Okay, so he rejected the use of Brahmanization on the three important reasons. Brahmanization is subsumed in the wider process of Sanskritization. The customs and habits of Brahmins changed after they settled in India. and the agents of Sanskritization were not and are not always Brahmins. Okay, so all these all bring us all together with no proper definition for the term Brahminization. Different scholars have given vague definition to the concept of Brahminization, which is very synonymous to the concept of Sanskritization, but in a narrow sense. Okay, so how these both related to our syllabus, particularly in Dalit movement. Okay, so due to Sanskritization and Brahminization, many classes or many untouchable or antajas or other lower classes which are following, started following these lifestyle or the ideology or ritual or traditions of the upper classes. Okay, not only the Brahmins, the other upper classes also, the styles of upper class also they are following. Because by following those, they treat as a equal to the others. Okay, so the same thing which are taken place during the colonial Indian society. Many personalities from lower classes, due to English education, they are knowing the things which are happened in the world. Along with this intellectual class, the imitational class, nothing but the due to Sanskritization, those who imitating the upper class strategy also treated themselves as a equal to the upper. Okay, so these are certain things which are taken place at the colonial Indian society, and after independence, there are certain changes also taking place in the Indian society. Okay, so our syllabus is confined to up to 1947. Okay, we see only the society of up to 1947. Okay, due to these Brahminical strategies or Sanskritization and modernization, the various changes has taken place, and due to the English and Western education, many lower classes which aware and mobilized their families and uh, 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 next generations, so that they are questioning the various unwanted rituals or superstitions which are prevailed at that time. Okay, so this leads to the Dalit movements during the 1900 to 1940s. Okay, so this is end of my class today. If you have any doubts or queries, you may ask now. Okay, Chinnagaya, any doubt? No doubt. Okay, right. Shall I end my class today? Okay, so ending my class today. I'll meet you tomorrow at the same time. Okay, thank you. I'm ending.